Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
The Third Fleet is finally joining the fight in Helldivers. WotC is making some questionable decisions when it comes to MTG. And is Huntrix better than Destiny's Child? That's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. My name is Guildmaster Rick Perry, where nary a Mary could ever be as fairy as the next best Jerry, and the Terry is also there, and welcome to the show.
And I'm Guildmaster Baron Kane, and as long as you don't edit this out, everybody's going to know where that tongue twister led you to.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, if you want to know where that came from, you're just going to have to go back and listen to our class action episode.
Right.
All right. I would love to start this episode with an update on something from last episode. So, last episode, we talked about a Spider-Punk movie that was reportedly in development.
Allegedly.
Now we are hearing reports from Sony that say not only is the Spider-Punk movie in development, but assuming that that movie goes well, they are also looking at an R-rated animated Venom film and a Spider-Woman animated project.
Crazy. I mean, they're really trying to at least they're not trying to cash in on the Sinister Six anymore.
Yeah, so the fact that they're pivoting is honestly what has me a little worried.
Okay.
So I want to be optimistic about this because Sony's animated Spider-Man stuff, like all their Spider-Verse stuff, has been fantastic up until this point, with the next movie coming out June 25th of 2027.
Right.
And with it being pushed so far, it lets me know that they are willing to put the time into making a good project instead of just pushing something out for the cash grab. However, Sony has been known to bumble the Spider-Man property.
What? Yeah. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about whether or not we think this is going to be a good thing, or should we be worried?
4K both?
Yeah, seriously. So starting with the R-rated Venom project, because that's the one that we know the most about. Honestly, I feel like I know a little bit more about this one than even I knew about the Spider-Punk one at this point from reading this article from Geek Tyrant. Not only will it be animated, it's also going to be R-rated, and it has Seth Rogen on board as writer and producer.
Oof. Okay. Well, I think if they let him do his thing, it actually might not be too bad.
Yeah, we've seen some good animated stuff created by Seth Rogen. Mm-hmm. And we've seen good animated stuff out of Sony. And in this Geek Tyrant article, they have quotes from Seth Rogen where he had previously opened up about his hesitation with doing major superhero movies. Mm-hmm. His quote was, "Honestly, probably fear. It's mostly a fear of how we plug into the system they have in place. We're control freaks. We're the producers of this, so we dictated the system." So his whole reason for not jumping on a big animated superhero movie in the past is because he was afraid of losing creative control. So if he agreed to this one, that could mean that they've, given him that control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very well could be. I mean, I'm sure we've seen plenty of directors walk away from, the Marvel machine because they lost creative control, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I'm sure that we watched some good directors walk away from a Marvel movie, but we know for a fact that whatever they came up with probably would not have fit too well into the universe that they were trying to build.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, everything I'm hearing about this movie has me on the fence. Because starting with Seth Rogen's involvement and him wanting creative control, that's great. Seth Rogen has done awesome animated movies before. We saw what he did with Ninja Turtles, and I feel like he could do great things with Venom. However, if he goes too far away from the greatness that has come from Spider-Verse, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
Right.
Next, we have the R rating. So the R rating, they could, I feel like Seth Rogen went a little crazy with Sausage Party with his R rating, and that's not what I want to see out of Venom or any Spider-Man movie.
Sure.
But I feel like the live action Venom movies were a little handcuffed by their PG-13 rating. And
correct.
An R rating could be exactly what the Venom movie needs.
Yeah, I think that after they did a successful first movie, if Sony was going to do anything, they should have latched onto the success of Deadpool by using their Venom franchise, not, Kraven.
Right.
Like, go ahead and make the second one, because I think, Deadpool would have came out first. So no, they should have did this right from the jump. They should have made their first Venom movie R-rated.
Yeah,
just
agreed.
Knowing full well that, he is a over-the-top, violent, creature. They should have just went that direction, but, whatever.
And then my
but
last...
No, they went Kraven.
Yeah, they did go Kraven, which was definitely not the move. And the last thing that has me both excited and worried is the announcement that all three of these movies are in development right now. Because obviously that means they're not using the same animation studio for all of them. And I feel like the animation studio who's behind Spider-Verse is kind of one of the reasons they're such awesome movies. Not saying that other animation studios can't put out good stuff, but are we seeing Sony just going, oh, those other Spider-Verse movies made us a lot of money. By whatever contract we have, we can't force them to release the third one before it's ready. But we need to see more money out of these animated Spider-Man movies. So let's do these other three projects. That way we can pump them out quickly and not see these large gaps in between revenue streams. Or are we actually going to get good quality movies? And if there's more of them, then those studios can focus on them individually and really put good work into them. Yeah.
I think we may be asking a little too much of Sony, especially in their live action shit. I'm not even going to talk about their animated stuff because they've been pretty stellar with their animated stuff. But, with their live action stuff, I don't think that we are going to get any of that out of them. None of the good stuff are we going to get out of them that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Unless they make some fucking changes, but I don't know who... I would like to know which exec is in which one's ear that is making these bold decisions.
You can tell that the live-action Spider-Man movies from Sony are made by executives, not by filmmakers.
Right. And it's fun, and you could tell because once you get over to the actual Spider-Man movie, it's like, oh, well, these are great. Why are the other ones horrid? Oh, because Marvel's doing them.
Mm-hmm. And this is where my worry comes from, because I was excited anytime I heard an animated Spider-Man movie comes out of Sony, because they have a proven, well, I say proven track record. It's 2 movies, but I feel like they are wonderful enough that I can say proven track record. The fact that 3 more kind of back to back to back all got announced that they're in development makes me wonder if they are now handling the animated ones the same way that they handled the live action ones, and can I trust that they're going to be as good?
Right, exactly.
There's nothing here but speculation. I'm going to hold out hope because I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and I've loved, a lot of stuff that has come out of Spider-Man, especially these animated movies, and I have high hopes. And I would love to hear from the Caster Guild community on this one. How do you think Sony is going to be handling these 3 animated movies? The R-rated Venom, and then Spider-Punk and Spider-Woman. What do we think we're going to see out of these? Are they going to be mishandled like the live actions were, or are they going to open up to more really great animated movies? All right, next up, just kind of flowing right off the Spider-Man news. Sticking in the Marvel arena, Marvel Rivals has seen a real drop in active players. Now, I'm going to be honest, I started playing this game a lot when it first came out, but it wasn't too long until I dropped off the bus on this one. Because I played Overwatch for a very long time, and Marvel Rivals, all the matches felt really samey to me.
Sure.
And I had a very similar experience to what a lot of these reviews are saying. By the way, this article here from Vice is attributing the drop in active players due to negative to mixed reviews on Steam.
Oh, so they're saying that people are stopping playing because of the reviews, not people are stopping playing and leaving bad reviews.
I think they're kind of saying it's kind of like one is leading to the other, which is leading to the other. That, it's kind of both. That people are stopping playing and leaving these bad reviews, and that the bad reviews are leading to less new players and, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Or possibly even that people are leaving bad reviews, current players are reading the bad reviews and going, hey, that is correct. Why am I still playing this? Either way, what these bad reviews are saying is that the matchmaking system that Rivals has is pretty garbage.
Okay. Like, do you have any experience in that?
So I was kind of thinking, like I said, I was pretty early. So I kind of assumed this would be something that got fixed eventually after they had enough people play and they got enough data on like matchmaking and things like that. But most matches in Marvel Rivals in my early gameplay experience ended in a steamroll. Like one team was just obviously better than the other one. So either I'd be on a team that just got steamrolled by the team I was playing against, or I'd be in a match that was way too easy and we were steamrolling the other team. And I'd have some days that were, all wins back to back, and other days that were all losses back to back. But it was very rarely that like I'd have a good back and forth match that got won by either side in like the last moments.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we're seeing in the negative reviews. Now, a lot of the negative reviews, the negative to mixed reviews, are willing to talk about all the great parts of Marvel Rivals. It is a free-to-play game, meaning that anybody can jump on it. The support for the skins, any kind of like support you need for the game if it's like not working, or balancing. They have a very active development team who are constantly balancing and messing with the different abilities, so like not one character is dominating the meta. Everything else about the game, in my personal opinion, other than it being kind of samey, you know what I mean? And a lot of the reviews are saying everything else about the game is great, other than the matchmaking.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of strong feelings on Marvel Rivals. It didn't appeal to me at all. But I do find it kind of sad that there's a game that people enjoy that could very well be affected because a lot of people want to, drop a bunch of bad reviews where some of them may not even be warranted. But it sounds like, in this case, some people have some legitimate gripes, but at the same time, to me, it doesn't seem like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. It seems like something that they could fix easy. Yeah,
I agree. I just feel like if it was, I think it's from my limited viewpoint at this point, because after reading this article and looking into it, realizing that I've been having the same issue since like the beginning of the game coming out, and people still having the same issue to today, how difficult is it to write an algorithm that automatically matches people up based off of skill level?
Sure.
And if it was easy for them to do, why haven't they done it?
Why haven't they done it? Yeah. It's a valid point, but it's still, yeah.
The other thing is, all games like this, any game that, has online play, loses players over time. It happens. However, with this one, it's seen an 80% decrease since its release, which is huge. That is not the normal drop-off that you see with games like this. It is bleeding players. And with new game season on the horizon, with the holiday season coming up, Marvel Rivals could see its death really quickly and get replaced by something else if they don't do something about this soon.
Right, exactly.
But honestly, kind of like you, I don't really have too many strong feelings about Marvel Rivals just because I already stopped playing a while ago for a lot of these same issues. So, honestly, if I saw a response to this where they did fix this issue somehow, and a lot of the fans were to change reviews and say, no, this problem fixed, maybe I'd go back. I don't know. But as of right now, they do have a lot of work to do in that department.
Right.
But speaking of online games, I saw you post a little something about Helldivers 2.
Yeah, it is specifically the Xbox release that they have planned for Helldivers 2. Silly me here thinking that Helldivers has been on consoles for a while now. And now, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell you what I saw, and then I'm going to pick a site and tell you what they're saying. What I saw was the teaser trailer for the teaser trailer for Helldivers 2 for the Xbox console. From what I understand, it's coming to Series X.
Yeah,
and
August 26th specifically.
And at the very end, you see the beam of light for the dropship, for your pods that you call down, and then a pod coming down. But while that's happening, you hear the Halo ODST song. So that's they're using this was my immediate assumption is that they are using Xbox's association with Halo to promote this game coming to Xbox, because they also have very similar kind of vibes to them.
Yeah, I feel like this is Helldivers really understanding their fan base. Because Helldivers has been on PC and PS5 pretty much since its release. It's published by Sony.
Yeah.
And for a while ago, for a while now, Helldivers have been calling for what they call the third fleet. The first fleet being PC, second fleet being PS5, and the third fleet being Xbox players.
Okay.
And they've been saying, we need the support of the third fleet if we're going to take down, a lot of these forces that are coming through on Helldivers. And there's been a lot of connection to Halo ODST specifically because, from what I understand, I've never really been a big Xbox player myself, so I'm bringing all this information in secondhand. ODST has a very similar feel to Helldivers in that it is a drop pod style game where you get dropped into a battlefield and you're not Master Chief. You're just another soldier in the infantry. So you're not the super powered Master Chief like you are in other Halo games. So they're saying that ODST players are kind of already set up to be perfect Helldivers.
Gotcha.
So the fans have been calling for the ODST players to join the fight for a long time now. So the fact that they are willing to kind of give a little nod to ODST in the trailer, I think is really showing that they're listening to the fans.
Sure. Now, as a follow-up to what I just said and what you just said, you go to Polygon, and the headline is Helldivers 2 teases Halo crossover ahead of Xbox release. And I'm like, I guess I can see how someone could jump to a wild conclusion and assume that there is going to be a crossover of some kind, but that's not what I got from that.
Yeah, I agree. The article specifically says that, because of this little tease, we should probably expect some cosmetic ODST items in Helldivers, like armor sets, weapons, flags, or capes.
Sure. Sure.
Which, wouldn't surprise me.
Not unreasonable.
At the end of the day, but I also don't think we should be expecting it.
Absolutely not, no.
I think this is just like I was saying, I think this is just a little nod to the fans, like a little wink, a little tongue-in-cheek reference that says, hey, your third fleet you've been calling for, the ODST players, they're coming.
Yes, I completely agree. Now, would it be cool if I was wrong? Sure. It to me, that wouldn't make too much sense. I don't know if I would be super down with that, them having a full-on crossover. Would I be cool if they came up with some inspired gear? I would not be surprised if there would be cosmetic items, because, like, and it would kind of make sense if they were just like, because they've already been kind of stealing, I say stealing, fondly, but they've been taking from other franchises and stuff. So if they were to take some gear that's loosely inspired by ODST and throw it into, the stuff that you can buy, then that I'd be fine with that. But, to absolutely just straight up throw in the Haloverse one wouldn't make sense financially for Sony or Xbox. And it wouldn't make sense lore-wise. There's just nothing there that would make sense.
Yeah.
So
I really agree. There's definitely been some loving homages to some other properties. I think some Halo-inspired gear or flags or capes would be a great welcome to the Xbox players. Like a kind of, we're glad you're here kind of thing. And I did see in a Kotaku article that apparently the push to bring in the Xbox players finally and allow it to come on to Xbox Series X was Sony's call. Like, it was Sony's idea to finally let them come in, which is surprising to me because Sony as a publisher for Helldivers has led to almost to Helldivers' death earlier in its gameplay cycle.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people are willing to jump ship because of that.
But I definitely don't want to see Helldivers 2 become another Fortnite where they're just doing crossover after crossover with these other games and just bringing 100%. In these other universes to Helldivers 2.
100%.
And Helldivers is another game that I haven't played in a long time, but that doesn't mean I want to see it, kill itself with unnecessary crossovers.
Sure, and it's not even like I don't know why you haven't played in a while. I just haven't played games I need to play. I have that Steam disease where I just get a bunch of games that, I will never have time to play, but I try anyways. The Helldivers is a great game. I enjoy it a great deal, even for all its flaws, which a lot of those flaws really only add to the charm.
Yeah, agreed. And I have that same Steam disease, and all my friends who play PC games have that same Steam disease, which is the only reason I'm not playing Helldivers 2 right now, because instead of jumping on to Steam and playing Helldivers 2, someone who shall remain nameless instead roped me into Repo.
I don't know what you mean.
And I did finally play that Dispatch demo, which was pretty good. Short, but I did enjoy it.
Right. You know what? I think the Repo demo. See, I think that the Dispatch demo was just long enough. Whoever put that demo together knew what they were doing.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does make me want to play that full game now.
Yep. They gave you a little taste of story. They got a little taste of the gameplay, because unlike other Telltale games, there's actually some significant gameplay that goes on in this. And they let you make some choices.
Yeah, 100%.
It was really good.
Speaking of other online games, Battlefield 6 has started its open beta.
Okay.
Some players were kind of upset about a new security feature that was required for the open beta, this new secure boot requirement, which basically, when the game boots up, it checks your entire PC to make sure every program that is currently running is a trusted program before it will actually start the game.
Sure.
Which EA had said, and DICE had said, this was a anti-cheating precaution. But a lot of people who are in the open beta have already seen proof that people are already cheating.
All right.
So they're upset that the fact that they have to go through these extra steps to prove that they're not cheating, but cheaters are still getting through.
I mean, cheaters are going to cheat, and they're going to find ways for sure, but...
Now, here's the thing. I think this is just Battlefield players being salty, which I think there's nothing new, that Battlefield and Call of Duty players are just salty all the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are some numbers here that the publisher is claimed that the secure boot system has already caught 330,000 attempts to cheat or tamper with the game. And they've already stopped those players from accessing the game from trying to cheat or tamper.
Now, I will say this. I haven't read the article. You know, the title of it pretty much said everything I needed to hear. But that is something I was going to bring up. Is, you know, we have some cheaters and everything like that who are, you know, have slipped through. But, you know, how many of them have we stopped, you know?
Yeah, so...
And do I think that they stopped that many? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe, though.
The publisher has claimed that that's how many has been stopped. However, day one of the beta, players reported 44,000 instances of cheating. And on day two, another 60,000 were reported.
Sure.
So, overall, 330,000 attempts, allegedly, were stopped before even booting up the game.
Okay.
And the players have reported a total of 104,000.
So here is like kind of my opinion on the whole thing. So when you stop cheating attempts, it is a gaugeable thing. Like you can tell it's a program that's stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like these are confirmed cheating attempts. On the reported attempts that probably, you know, didn't get caught, how many of those do you think are just little bitches that don't know how to play the game and they're just accusing people of cheating?
Right. I agree with this take.
Now, do I think some actual cheaters slipped through? Yes.
100%.
100%. There's no way that they didn't.
This is an open beta.
Yeah.
This is the point of beta tests, is to find the insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
To find the places that people are getting through. My only thing to these Battlefield players, and this is going to fall on deaf ears because they're Battlefield players,
Sure.
is it's a beta. Fucking chill. Play the game. Enjoy it. You're gonna lose some matches, probably a lot. Everybody is still learning the game. It's like the second or third day of the beta. And just continue to report. If you see legitimate cheating, continue to report, because that's the point of the beta. Report the bugs, report the cheating, report the holes in the system, because DICE is going to take those reports and use it to build out the final version of the game.
Right.
And even then, it's an online game with constant support that's going to have constant updates. As people figure out how to get through these cheating systems, make the reports, DICE will get the reports, they'll send out patches, they'll send out updates, people will get banned, you know, they'll catch a new batch of cheaters. Cheaters are always going to get through. It's just a thing that's going to happen. Me personally, I believe the only reason that this even made a headline, the only reason it's in the news cycle, is because Battlefield players are salty.
Oh yeah. Anytime when it comes to PvP stuff, I'm not. Anytime it's going to come down to PvP stuff, I'm going to take every complaint with a grain of salt, because it's like, how many of these people are just not good at the game and they think it's their controller's broken, or there's something broken with the game, or there's someone cheating or something. Like, we've all been there. We've all been there. Mm-hmm. This goddamn controller. We've been there. But, you know, and this is almost exclusive to PvP games. Whenever you get like a PvE game or just a regular fucking game, The only time anybody ever puts, okay, legit, there are some bad games out there.
Yeah.
But when you get an actual good game and you get a bunch of complaints, it's usually because there's a Black Hobbit. Or, a disabled person living their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's never a legit thing. It baffles me, the differences between... And you know what? It's probably a lot of these people who are in the PvP thing, who are losing all the time, who want to go someplace else and feel like a winner, so they fucking review bomb shit. Like, oh god, I lost again at Battlefield. That Hobbit can't have a peg leg. It's
too true. Oh my god.
And in case anybody wants to know, yes, I am bitter because the Tales of the Shire game is out. I am loving it. There have been some minor problems with it that have been addressed almost immediately. And past that, there's nothing wrong with this game. It's delivering exactly what it intended, exactly what it promised, and there are people bitching about it. And it's like, what game were you expecting?
That is a great question. That is a great question, because I kind of knew exactly what it was going to be when it came out, which is one of the reasons I didn't pick it up. It's not my type of game. But what were these negative reviewers expecting?
Right. I know you would not have a good time with this game. I never would have recommended this game to you, ever.
Right.
But would you have recommended it to me?
100%.
Exactly. And guess what? I'm playing it, and it's great. It's exactly what I expected, and more, mind you. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's people out there bitching because they can't form a love interest with the other hobbits, which it's like, okay, well, I guess, but that's still kind of a weird thing to bitch about. They never promised it. They promised that you were going to make friends and make food and explore. It's yes, there's a bit of a grind to it, but guess what? Any game.
Yeah.
Any game, especially like a crafting game, which this is, you're going to have a bit of a grind. And honestly, I think the only complaint I could see people kind of having is that it's too simple, too easy. A 10-year-old could play it. But
in my opinion, just from watching the trailers, it seems like that's kind of the point.
Yes. This is a game where this is essentially a paper doll game with a little bit of a challenge.
Which is like exactly what I expected it to be.
Yeah. It's basically, the point of it is getting through the story and dressing up your house. To do that, you have to make friends, you have to participate in clubs, you have to make food. That's it. Past that, you're listening to cool music, you're looking at beautiful graphics, you're having a good time. What the fuck did you want?
It's exactly what people wanted that game to be, or at least that's what I thought.
Yeah. So all you motherfuckers, get out of the fucking reviews on my game, go back to Battlefield 6, and fucking die there tons of times, like you deserve.
Yeah, and you know what? Stay out of Helldivers too. I know some of y'all are Xbox players just because it's coming to Xbox. Stay out of Helldivers.
Yeah, stay out of there too. Because you're gonna die there too. You're gonna walk in front of a fucking laser dog, and you're gonna be a bitch about it. Okay?
Yeah, you're gonna complain about people using their laser turrets because it killed you, and it's like, have some battlefield awareness, motherfucker. But you know what, Guildmaster Baron? You know where else you can go and get exactly what you're expecting?
I mean, I can think of a few places. Can I mention them here?
Well, I'm talking specifically about Level Up Sabers, where you will get a lightsaber guaranteed better than a stick.
Oh, that's way better.
Could you use an awesome lightsaber for cosplay, dueling, or home decoration? Check out Level Up Sabers, the only lightsaber guaranteed better than a stick. And with lots of fairly priced options, including baselit and Xenopixel, you'll be able to find exactly what you're looking for without breaking the bank.
Every Level Up Saber comes equipped with color change, gesture controls, volume control, sound fonts, and flash on clash. With the baselit options being strong enough to duel with, and the Xenopixel options adding even more cool effects. To check them out and help Casters Guild, click our link in the description.
All right. this is a point where Guildmaster Baron, if you'd like, you can tune out for a minute, because I'm going to complain about Magic the Gathering for a minute.
I knew it was coming. Go for it.
Because, look, we're getting rather optimistic about Wizards of the Coast and D&D. So, at least for now, that's not where we're going to get our Miss the Mark segment. However, I think Wizards might be missing a few marks with the upcoming Magic the Gathering sets. Specifically, the upcoming Spider-Man set and the upcoming Avatar The Last Airbender set. So I'm going to break this down a little bit and give you my opinions on it and some opinions that some other Magic the Gathering fans might have. So first off, there's the big thing where out of the last 4 sets, so if the last 2 sets and the next 2 sets, so 4 sets total, we've got Final Fantasy, Edge of Eternities, Spider-Man, and Avatar. So a lot of Magic the Gathering fans are complaining that out of 4 sets, they only got 1 that's in universe. I can understand that complaint. If you're someone who has grown up with Magic the Gathering, you've been a Magic the Gathering fan for a long time, you want more lore from your own game. It's kind of like what we were just talking about with Helldivers and it becoming like a Fortnite. Magic the Gathering has definitely become like a Fortnite of card games. I like the Universes Beyond stuff. I don't care that we're getting all these out of universe sets, but I think the complaints from longtime Magic the Gathering fans, the fact that most of what we're getting now is out of universe sets, I feel like that's a valid complaint. I don't mind it, but I think the complaint is valid.
I'm just wondering if maybe I start liking all the things that all these people hate in Magic the Gathering. Whether I like Magic the Gathering or not, maybe I can finally destroy it.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. New players. Because that is where I think Wizards of the Coast is missing the mark here. I talked about this a little bit when they initially announced that they were doing this with the Spider-Man set, but just as a little reminder, when the Spider-Man set comes out, none of the Spider-Man cards are going to make it to Magic the Gathering Arena, which is the online version of Magic the Gathering. Mm-hmm. This, I feel, is a mistake because you have brand new players who are going to be joining Magic the Gathering for the first time because they're Spider-Man fans, and they're going to go to the store, they're going to pick up their first cards, and then they're going to go try to play on Magic the Gathering Arena because they can't be at the local game store all the time playing with actual physical cards. And me personally, and a lot of other people that I have gotten into the game, or other people that I've heard of got into the game recently, they learn most of what they learn by playing on Arena. And what they're doing with Spider-Man is they are doing in-universe versions of all the Spider-Man cards on Arena, which means technically the cards are there, but they're all going to have different names and different art, which I think is very confusing to new players.
It absolutely will be. Absolutely.
And then Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, and Avatar have all done something with their sets that other standard legal sets have not done, where they're going to have standard legal cards and commander legal cards. And the commander cards cannot be used in standard. So if you are a new player coming in and trying to learn standard, which is quote unquote the standard format, you might be pulling cards out of these packs that you're getting that you can't even use.
What the fuck?
Right. Now, you could argue that Commander being the most popular format, especially amongst new players, that they are appealing to the Commander players. However, Spider-Man and Avatar are both sets that will not have Commander starter decks.
Okay.
Every other set, including Final Fantasy and Edge of Eternities, that has come out since Commander has been a popular format has had 2 to 4 Commander decks that if you were like, this is where I'm starting, is with this set, I can go buy myself a starter Commander deck and be ready to play Commander right out the gate. And Spider-Man and Avatar both aren't doing it. So we're making it harder for new players who are playing Standard because you have Commander-only legal cards that they're pulling from sets. And if you try to go play these new sets in Magic the Gathering Arena, they have different art, they have different names. It's making it difficult. Or if you're a brand new player trying to get into Commander, if you want to get in with Avatar or Spider-Man, there's no easy entry point. You have to buy other sealed product and build yourself your own first Commander deck instead of getting a nice jump off point with a precon. And then you're alienating the older players because the older players don't like the fact that we're leaning more into Universes Beyond. So I ask, who are these decisions for? Because you're definitely not making it for older players, and you're making it difficult for new Standard players and for new Commander players. Who is this for?
Good question.
And this is where I think Wizards of the Coast is really missing the mark with these new Magic the Gathering sets. And they captured lightning in a bottle with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was, and I'm like by a large margin, the best-selling Magic the Gathering set of all time. Final Fantasy did more money in its opening weekend than Avengers did. The movie.
Right.
Which is crazy to think about if you look at any of the numbers that any other previous Magic the Gathering set did. It is an insane jump. But Final Fantasy, the entire set was available on Magic the Gathering Arena, and it had 4 Commander precons that new players could choose from. That was a beginner-friendly set, and it was a Universes Beyond that people could really sink their teeth into. So, once again, I think Wizards of the Coast is really, quote-unquote, missing the mark with the decisions they're making with these 2 new sets.
Wizards, if you have anything to say about this, feel free to come on the show.
Yeah, let's get some people who have made these decisions, or even if you're someone who works at Wizards and you agree with these decisions, you're like, hey, I think these were the right decisions to make. Just come and tell us why. Like, I'm not even saying I'm not a game exec. There could be factors here that I'm not taking into account. So if you're willing to come on and tell me why I'm wrong, please do so. But from where I'm standing, these do not look like good business decisions. Now, I'll be honest. All that being said, as I said earlier this episode, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I'm gonna be buying some of these cards. But I've also been playing Commander long enough that I can take Spider-Punk and build a deck around Spider-Punk and it be a functional deck because I have the knowledge to do it. Same thing with Avatar. I can grab my favorite Avatar character, which just so happens to be Toph, by the way, and build a workable deck around Toph. So I'm definitely going to get some of these cards, and I'm not going to hold back here and say I'm definitely going to proxy some of these cards, especially if they get a little too expensive. And being that I can't buy a precon to have as a jumping off point, I'm going to have to get a lot of cards in order to build commander decks. It's 100 cards to do a commander deck, and I'm definitely not going to pay full price for all of them, and I'm not going to just open a bunch of sealed product hoping I get the cards I need.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'm not going to lie, I'm excited for these new sets. However, the decisions they're making around the products they're releasing for these sets, very questionable. But speaking of questionable decisions, let's talk about Nintendo for a little bit.
We can definitely do that.
Nintendo, I feel like, is making a lot of questionable decisions recently.
Oh, they do.
Let's start with RTA. RTA is a speed running event in Japan. If you're familiar more with the American speedrun community, think of this like a GDQ type of event, Games Done Quick, where basically they have an event where speedrunners get together. A lot of it is usually for either competition purposes or charity purposes. However, RTA has had to exclude pretty much all, actually not pretty much all Nintendo games from the event. Now, Nintendo games in general have always been really popular among speedrunners. But the reason that they've had to exclude, starting in 2020, the organizers behind RTA became a official legal entity. Nintendo has decided that as an official legal entity, in order to use any Nintendo property in live streaming, they must submit permission requests per game to stream that particular game.
Wow.
Now, this is not new for Nintendo. Nintendo has cracked down on streamers of their games in the past if they were streamers who like weren't specifically provided review copies or things like that.
Sure.
They have gone back on a lot of that. They were cracking down on streamers a few years ago, but they kind of backpedaled on that and they stopped doing that. However, if it's any business or legal entity, they're still requiring that, you know, permissions be filed for each individual game that will be streamed. And I think this is just Nintendo's being really picky about what happens with their franchises and their characters, which I'm not saying justifies the decision at all, but it all started, I think, back when that first Mario Brothers movie came out, the live action one. And then since then, Nintendo has been extremely picky about what other companies do with their characters and their properties, to the point where even in the Wreck-It Ralph movie, they were very particular about how Bowser held his coffee cup.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So part of me thinks like these kind of things are just they want to make sure that their games are represented in the way that they want their games to be represented. However, I don't think that's cool. You know, you put your game out there and then you hope that people see it the way you want to see it. But if somebody's speed running your game and, you know, a glitch gets exploited and you don't like it, or you don't like how that game is being portrayed, I mean, oh well. The amount of control that is being asked for, I think, is ridiculous on Nintendo's part.
Yeah.
Now, RTA has stated that for future events, they will have the time to submit these permission requests to Nintendo, and that we can expect Nintendo games at future RTA events. However, for the summer of 2025 event, this kind of got sprung on them that they would have to submit the permissions, and they just do not have the time to submit all the permissions and get them back before the actual summer 2025 event. So there will be no Nintendo games at that event.
Well, I guess.
I think that's Nintendo's loss.
Oh, it 100% is. Yeah.
Now, in another kind of questionable event, I'm not sure if I want to blame this one on Nintendo as much, but prices for the Nintendo Switch 1, the original Switch, have gone up as much as 14%.
Okay.
Nintendo is stating this is due to a doubling in the tariff on,
Sure.
I believe it's Vietnam, where they're producing the Switches.
Sure.
Yeah, Vietnam. They've doubled the tariffs the country to 20%. Now, Nintendo has stated so far that this should not affect the price of the Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they have forecasted selling 15 million Switch 2 units by the end of the financial year, which currently they've already sold 5.8 million in just the first quarter. So if they can keep up that rate, and if anything, the rate will probably go up, they'll easily hit their projections. And they say if they're able to hit those projections, they have no reason to up the price of the Switch 2. However,
we shall see.
However, Sony's already raised the price of the PS5, which is nuts. That was like one of the first times we've ever seen a console like raise in price after its release, if you don't include it going back up to original price after a sale. And with Nintendo raising the price of the Switch 1 by 14% already, and us going into the holiday season where we could see an uptick in Switch 2 sales because of the holiday season, but we could also see Switch 2 sales go down because some other product ends up taking up the sales that the Switch 2 would have gotten. So I don't know if I want to blame the price of the Switch 1 going up on Nintendo or not, especially when they're already saying they're willing to eat the price difference of the Switch 2 and like leave it at the same price to try to make it still the price that they promised, even though that the tariffs are going up, which means that they are losing profit that they would have made on the Switch 2.
Oh, okay, but, and I hate to be contrarian here.
No, please.
They're keeping the price of the Switch 2, but they're raising the price of the Switch.
Yes.
So they're making you eat it on the Switch to keep the Switch 2 where they want it.
Yeah. No,
so they are raising the price still.
That is 100% true. But just kind of playing devil's advocate here, they're not the only hardware company doing it. You know what I mean? It's that, like, Sony is doing the exact same thing, which not saying that makes it the right thing to do. Just
but
and they have doubled the tariff up to 20%, and they only raised the Switch One's cost by 14%, which I feel like if they were really trying to make up the costs for the tariffs, especially on two consoles, they'd have to raise it a whole lot more than 14%. I feel like they're trying to break even here.
I don't think they're making up the loss. Yeah, I think they're just trying to offset it just a bit. But I want to point out that I'm not coming down on any of these other people, because they don't have groups of people saying, "Oh, they'll never raise the price of a PlayStation. They'll never raise the price of an Xbox." I did have a group of people saying they'll never raise the price of a Switch 2.
Sure.
And you're right, they're not, but they're not raising the price because they're raising it on the Switch 1, making them technically correct, which I guess is the best kind of correct. But it still makes it wrong.
I will say that Nintendo themselves has not said that they will never raise the price on the Switch 2. That they're going to... They have set goals, which, to be fair, are very conservative goals. Mm-hmm. Like, they should blow if you look at market trends, they should blow these goals out of the water. And as long as they hit those goals, they will not be raising the price of the Switch 2. And, you know, as much as I am pro blame the corporation, I'd also very much like to blame this on tariffs. But honestly, it all comes down to...
I want to be very clear. I'm blaming this all on tariffs.
Yeah.
I'm blaming this all on tariffs. But they are reacting just the same as everybody else by raising their prices.
Yeah.
Which we expected, which I expected.
Yeah.
Which I called from the very beginning.
Right.
So, yeah, they are not some savior company out there that is saving people money, and this isn't directed at a single person. But they're not out there trying to save money for a single person because, you know, they're keeping the Switch 2 low. They're making other people pay who want the Switch 1.
True
and
enough.
they're probably people who can't afford to get the Switch 2. So they know that there's going to be a bunch of people that are still just buying the Switch 1, so they're raising the prices on the Switch 1.
I would recommend to anyone out there who wants to get a Switch 1 because you cannot afford to Switch 2, if you can't do this already, because I feel like you should be able to do this already, but if you can't do this already, just wait a little bit. People are going to buy more of these Switch 2s. A lot of these people who are buying Switch 2s are trading in their Switch 1s. You'll be able to get one on secondhand markets, which will be lower. I don't think that just because the new ones... Now, I could be entirely wrong here, but I don't think just because the prices of the new ones are going up, I don't believe the price of the pre-owned ones will go up at retailers like GameStop and other places that sell secondhand Switch 1s. So if you are going for Switch 1s for the budgetary reasons, just get a secondhand one. I do believe that Nintendo makes good hardware, and I don't believe buying secondhand or buying refurbished is a bad decision. Maybe on the controllers, because the stick drift wasn't great, but I mean, I feel like you'd have the same problem in a pre-owned or refurbished that you would with a new. If anything, I think a refurbished controller is probably going to have less of a chance to stick drift than a brand new one. So that's what I would say here. And yeah, I definitely don't think Nintendo is some savior of a company, but, you know, it's definitely more the tariffs than the companies. But I also feel like every single one of these companies could eat the cost of these tariffs if they really wanted to.
100%. Every single one of them could.
And I still feel like they do great profit.
These are all companies who have gained record profits over the pandemic. And, you know, I could be talking out my ass here, but I'm not going to look it up because it's going to kill my bandwidth. But, you know, a lot of these corporations out here have made record fucking profits over the pandemic. And these are companies who will, when they aren't making the same amount of money that they were during the pandemic, and they're making just a little bit more money than they were before the pandemic, will lay off tons of people to coop the costs. Now, Nintendo, I will say, has done some cool stuff where, you know, their execs take a pay cut so that they can keep some workers. But as far as I'm concerned, they still do some shitty stuff.
At this point, the stuff that they've done shitty, especially when you take into account Nintendo of America. Nintendo of Japan is the only one who have done those cool things in the past. Nintendo of America has like never done shit like that.
I keep forgetting that they're two different corporations technically.
Yeah, but even if you take one into account and not the other, that the amount of corporate bullshit that they've done, that is, you know, the kind of shit that'll get you upset, definitely outweighs the cool things that they've done that make them one of the quote unquote better corporations.
Right.
Now, kind of leading into a different story here, I don't think Nintendo is going to care, but the raising of price of the Switch 1 is definitely going to affect the fact that the Switch 1 is really close to beating PS2's lifetime sales, which the PS2 is the best-selling console of all time.
Sure.
And the Switch 1 is really close to beating those sales. However, I think the raising this price is really going to, you know, hurt its chances of becoming that number one console.
Yeah, how far away are the numbers?
Okay. Number one is the PlayStation 2, which has 160 million lifetime sales. Number two is Nintendo's DS, which is 154 million. And then you have the Switch 1, which is currently at 153 million. Okay.
Yeah, they'll have to sell quite a bit. I mean, granted, they're not selling the DS or the PS2 anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. They might.
I think they're going to beat the DS, no problem.
I think the thing that's going to hurt them the most is the fact that the PS2 or the Switch 2 is coming out.
Or that it is out.
Or yeah. Right, but I mean, yeah, leaning into that, that is what's going to hurt them the most.
That, and I agree. I agree that will be the biggest factor, but I think the fact that they're raising the price on the Switch 1 now is definitely
it's not going to help at all.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to help.
I feel like
you said, I don't think they care.
Yeah, I think that's going to lead to more people buying pre-owned and refurbished versus buying new, which pre-owned and refurbished don't go toward these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you look at the trends, like the Switch 1 took a steep drop off after the Switch 2 was released, as far as, like, you know, the trend of its sales. So they've got to sell 6.9 million more units to beat the PS2, and less than 1 million, and they'll beat the DS.
Right.
So, I mean, it is possible.
That could happen.
But, you know, I feel like Nintendo is hurting their own chances. I don't think they care.
No.
They're more concerned with, you know, end of the year profits than they are with who has the best selling console of all time. Mm. But as long as we're talking about something as old as the PS2, AOL is ending their dial-up internet service this September. That is 34 years after its debut. Now, I spent some time reading this article from Tom's Hardware about AOL ending its dial-up service, and I was like, who cares after reading the headline? I was like, who still has this dial-up service? Who's still using a 56K modem? But apparently there are some places, you know, throughout the world, some countries that don't have broadband setups, and even some places in the US that just don't have access to broadband. A lot of these places that are hard to reach with broadband, that are still using the dial-up, can be reached by satellite internet, which is like the number 2 current way to get internet, with number 1, of course, being like cable broadband and fiber optic. Currently in the US, apparently there are still about 250,000 remaining dial-up users. Now, that might sound like a lot, but when you consider the fact that 8 million people are currently using satellite and over 80 million people are using DLS cable or fiber optic, that 250,000 doesn't sound as big.
Yeah.
Especially with most of that 250,000, when dial-up is no longer available, satellite will be an option. However, as funny it is to laugh at, like, you know, hey, you know, nobody's going to have dial-up anymore. there are going to be like entire countries and parts of the U.S. that they're going to lose internet service when this happens.
That's kind of where my mind was. It is crazy to think that there is still people using dial-up, but then it's like, there's reasons for that.
Yeah, but this is where AOL, as a private company, they do have to consider like line items and things like that, and they're obviously at this point losing more money offering broadband service than they're making, which is why they're choosing to end it. In my personal opinion, this is where government programs should be able to step in and subsidize some of that cost to make sure that everybody has access to something as essential in this modern world as internet. Of course, those programs don't exist, but they should. And honestly, it shouldn't even be programs that are subsidizing the cost of dial-up. It should be programs that are making sure that satellite and broadband are available in those areas. They've had the time to do it. But of course, those programs don't exist. Of course, that's just me and my wacky leftist ideals.
Oh, you leftist. No, I'm right there with you. It's the things we could do, but we don't.
But make sure at some point in September, you pour one out for the loss of dial-up. All right, and for the very last thing on my docket, as long as I'm not missing anything here, K-pop Demon Hunters kind of blew up out of nowhere.
Yeah? It's something that I've even seen before.
It's definitely my daughter's newest obsession.
And
I've watched it more than once, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good, especially for a Netflix animated movie.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's a really...
Netflix has kind of been killing it with like a lot of their original animated movies. I mean, before it was K-pop Demon Hunters, for a while for my kid it was Nimona, which also I think was a great movie.
That's one I haven't seen yet.
I would recommend going out of your way to see it. I feel like it is good enough movie to go out of your way to see it. At this point, it's older, so there should be avenues that you can take to see it. And it kind of, as long as you're looking at it the right way, it's also a movie that speaks to the trans experience, which not many animated kid movies will do. But one thing I never expected, there's been a lot of animated movies before and a lot of shows that have had really good music created by fictional bands. You know, Powerline from Goofy Movie comes to mind. The Beats from Doug. However, K-pop Demon Hunters fictional band has actually broke the Billboard Top 100. They even broke a record set by Destiny's Child.
Yep.
By hitting number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, which goes to show you just how good some of the music in this movie is.
I think there's a lot. I mean, I didn't hear a bad song in the whole movie.
Yeah. And due to this, I think this is probably one of the first times a Netflix movie has ever done this, like a direct-to-Netflix movie has ever done this, but it is getting a limited release in theaters with a sing-along version, August 23rd and 24th. So if you haven't seen it, or you don't have like a Netflix subscription, this could be a good way for you to go and see the movie and enjoy some of that music. As someone who very much prefers the theater experience for movies, I think this is a really cool thing, and I'm definitely going to try to go out and see it while it's in theaters for its limited release.
Yeah, I think I might too. I think it'd be actually another reason to go and see this is to really get stuff like this more mainstream, like K-pop. I'm not a huge K-pop fan, but I know there's a lot of people out there that love it. So, and I would love to see them to have more access to stuff like that. And then, this definitely hits an anime niche. There is a Korean anime culture, and this is very much in that same vein. So, and I know that Japanese anime is starting. I think that it's kind of hit a level of mainstream, but it's just kind of flatlined. I would love to see more of this stuff popping up.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's vote with our dollar and go out and show them that, you know, if they put stuff like this in theaters, we're gonna go see it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'll say K-pop is kind of known for kind of having a seedy underbelly for how the groups have been treated in the past, but there are good groups and there are groups that have had their problematic things in the past, and from what I can tell, most of the groups that are involved with K-pop Demon Hunters, groups like Twice and things like that, are not on the problematic side. So let's support what we can. All right, well, with all that being said, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Casters Guild. Email us at castersguild@gmail.com. I'm going to give the call of action again. Tell us what you think about the new Spider-Man movies that have been announced, and whether or not you think Sony is going to mess this up the way they did with the live action side, or if we're going to see more quality stuff like Spider-Verse. Join us on the Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. See ya. Bye.